Hi, my name is Sally Barnard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery, and with the help of my spirit guides, it's time to trust your intuition. Sit with me and call in live 888-994-4995, Studio A. And now onto the show. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Well, before I even open, I want to thank you guys for the most wonderful evening the other night. Anybody watching, I don't know, some of you made it, some of you are not local, but what a wonderful, wonderful evening that was. I know you were here, Russ.
Oh, it's awesome.
So now I usually open my show with something, a prose from my book. Unfortunately, I don't have my book on the table here, and I don't always remember what I say, and I also don't remember all my prose. But anyway, we'll open the show. Today we're going to talk about aliens. I think it's a great topic. And Russ, you showed up today. What a wonderful person to show up. But since I did? I don't remember. Okay. So we're going to open the show. Anybody that wants to call in or even find out maybe what's happening on the news, because honestly, I really don't have a lot of ideas myself. I usually can do a prediction. I've got my ideas, kind of, but I don't know. 888-994-4995. Studio A. Oh, thank you guys for helping me. I'm going to say it one more time. Please call in if you have any questions. Also, what you're listening to on the news. 888-994-4995. And magically, my book appeared. So I'll open it up, and I'm going to read one of my proses because a lot of people have said that they like listening to these. Again, just to let you know, I had no idea what I was writing or documenting at that time. So whenever I open the page, I feel it's appropriate. I have no idea what I'm going to read, but I'm going to read it. What is documented is called listen. What is documented within our subconsciousness? Often we ask, why do we not remember? For it is only who we are. We have the answers. Listen to your thoughts. Listen to your dreams. Answers are all around you. Words. People who are in our surroundings, they all have hidden messages. Sleep and you dream. Think and you have thoughts. Walk and you will find. Hear and you see what is to be. For my children, we are all blessed with this. What wonders are buried within our souls that we call our subconscious? It holds our being since time began. Understand now, listen, think, feel, go in peace. Well, I feel that's appropriate, especially the peace part. So let's maybe open the show with maybe we are getting help, maybe we are helping. I want to thank the aliens that joined me on my show. Though they're unseen, I feel them. So here we go, let's talk.
Well, I want to open up with an interesting aspect of the shirt that Russ has on.
Okay.
The Space Force shirt that you have on.
Well, your president, Trump, created the Space Force in 2019. That's what number one, right? You see the congressional record?
Yes, I've seen that.
He made it happen. Now, other presidents wanted to do that. Carter.
But no one ever did.
Well, Trump did.
Exactly, but I wanted to get Sally's input on Space Force. Has to do with what? What direction are they trying to go with this thing?
For what I believe, and you can answer me if you want, Russ, to validate what I'm saying, because I'm not quite sure with what you're talking about. But I mean, I am sure of it. But is it to do with the secret space program? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes,
okay.
that's part of it.
So
Yeah,
that I
absolutely.
feel that I can definitely answer on
Right.
any questions if you
Right.
know. But as far as this is another program.
Yeah, it's like the Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force. He made it another branch, and it's called the Space Force.
Okay,
Legitimately.
I believe that I was listening to something the other night on that because I'm very interested myself
Right.
because I get the messages. And I think the lady that was talking, which was on Gaia, had something very similar on that you were watching. I believe she was in the military, very high up, and I found it absolutely fascinating. So I don't believe it's coincidence that that's why I wanted to make sure. I wasn't sure if it was, which you know about, the secret space program or something very similar. Okay, so please, let's ask me some questions.
Well, do you want me to go on? The Secret Space Force is like the Army, the Navy, the Coast Guard, and the Air Force, a legitimate organization now to represent
Right.
the space people who would be coming and talking to. You know, Trump met with the aliens.
Yeah, actually, I was going to read something about, because I don't get political, so this has nothing to do with
Well, it's not
politics at all.
politics.
No, I realize that, but what I was going to say is that I actually, as I know Uri Geller, and I opened up LinkedIn the other day, and he wrote, which I was going to read to you, a great article. There was a picture of Trump, and what he may or may not know. I'm not here to discuss what Trump knows because I'm not sure myself. Yes, which a lot of presidents do, which is also something that we could talk about too, but he wrote a very interesting article about that. And he had mentioned, so I'm not saying anything that's not in print, that he mentioned that he believes that Trump's going to go more into doing or understanding what's happening with the whatever they are up in the skies. So let's open our program if anybody has any interest in, well, any interest, I'm sure a lot of people do, with what's going on, because we really don't know. And I find we all have our views, and I have had my messages on what I believe it is, and then I discuss that with someone and they believe it's something else. So what I really want to say is it's very interesting right now. Whatever is happening, I find it very interesting. So if any viewers out there that are listening wants to ask me some questions, by all means, please call in and I'll do my best from my guys that are leading me here to answer the questions, to answer your questions on that, because I'm fascinated by it.
Yep.
So
What
let's.
do you think with all the drones, all of this new controversy that's happening?
Well, I have my own views on that. Of course, I've discussed it with Steve, or where he's working, they have their own views. So it's fascinating. I mean, I have actually been watching Gaia TV about the secret space program and what's going on right now, because I feel that if I hear something, I can relate more because I am guided into my messages of what I say. So if I was to say I believe it's something that, quote, is out of this world, literally, I could be open to anything. It's out of this world. We don't know what it is. But what I was listening to the other day, yesterday, that was very fascinating, they were actually showing, the drones. And there's small, there's medium, and there's large drones. So we're open up to any discussion. Personally, I mean, don't quote me on this if someone calls up and says you were wrong. I think it's hard to believe that it's drones, because somebody would make known that they were putting them up there at this point.
But there were so many. I think.
Yeah.
You think it's part of this disclosure that they were just.
It is.
I
Definitely.
actually
You think
do.
it is?
Yes, the beginning of it. Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree with you, Ross. Yeah, I do agree with you.
The NBC had it on the news that the CIA or the Mossad of Israel and Trump have decided that they're going to disclose something about the Space Force and aliens on this planet pretty soon.
Well, what is interesting, which I'm sure you're aware of, is that they're flying over like secret places right now that people are not meant to be flying over. Let's use it as an example.
Well, they're going to be there. You can't stop them because they control the planet.
Yes, and that's my question, because, for a conversation, at this point, and I believe, and I'm not here to criticize anybody, my show is open to everybody, including members of the government if they want to call in, which I doubt whether they're listening, but why in the world would they not be more worried if they're going and they're looking at our so-called maybe secret things that are going on? But on the other flip side of this is that aliens, which I have talked about before, are here, majority of them, not everyone, to protect us. And I think they had mentioned, I had mentioned a little while ago that because of what's going on, they would want to know or protect us, our bases where there's maybe nuclear weapons, because ultimately I truly believe they don't want us to blow ourselves up. So,
I heard an interesting concept on this thing. The pieces that are going on right now in South America, the foundation has been going on for years. The CIA went down there and they took a lot of the material that was there without permission. They just did what they had to do. From what I'm hearing, and again, I told you to watch the program from that gentleman, is that they are bringing a new light, I'm talking about the government, here in the United States to take away from what's going on in South America because they don't have an answer for the thing in South America.
Right, and as far as the Netflix, I'm so interested in it. I've watched 2 episodes of it. Steve actually told me to wait till he comes home to start the 3rd.
But there's
So-
no answer for that.
No, there
But the
isn't.
ones in the States, I'm telling you, I think there's an answer. I think it's going to be shown that the human beings flying this thing, they arrested 2 in Boston already. I'm just letting you know that it looks to me like they're taking the shine off of something they don't have an answer to in South America.
As my friend Aldo used to say, divide and conquer. So if they take off and they talk about something which is certainly in the news, they are now planning something else. So it's divide and conquer. He used to say that to me all the time. That kind of makes sense because I think the government, again, I'm not here to be controversial at all. I don't want to make my program that way. But the government, not everybody, knows a lot more. And they do. They've done reverse technology on a lot of these crafts. So possibly that because, and I was listening to that, they have found, well, even if they're doing reverse technology, how are they able to do that if there aren't crafts around, right? And I
Even
don't
they
know.
said they didn't have an answer to the reverse technology.
Oh,
They do-
I
they
haven't
do
watched
have
that
They
particular
went
program.
in one direction to try, and they said that this was something that they did not have an answer to yet.
Yeah, they do have it.
Well, that's what they're saying,
No,
is
no,
that they
no,
don't, because
I don't
if they
know who
do,
Well,
are.
they
they're
don't
gonna,
want to
I
disclose,
don't know who
but
they
however,
are.
let me.
I just a little bit, just a little bit. If you really want to know the full story, there's a guy called Stephen Greer. He has a website,
What?
and he started the Disclosure Project. He just put up 11,000 pages of information, and he's been researching this since 1993. Full-time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He's got all the information on this. Number 2, there's another guy called Michael Salla, S-A-L-L-A. He has a podcast called Exopolitics. He has a lot of books and a lot of information on all of this, about Antarctica, about the Germans, about Project High Jump, the whole 9 yards.
Okay.
He has it all documented. And if you got, and he has to talk about the Galactic Command and all that. If you really want to know, get his books, go to Amazon.com, pull it up. He has all of this documented.
Thank
So
you.
I'm saying it's a lot of information out there.
Thank you, Ralph.
Sally, do they
Yeah.
communicate with you through your
Yes,
guides?
absolutely. I feel that I get a lot, especially now. I mean, for some reason, I am watching all the correct programs that I feel that I should be watching on Gaia. I mean, I'm not here to advertise or push anything. Everybody, it's up to them. But I want to disclose some of what I have heard. And thank you for that information, Russ, because my viewers are listening, and hopefully, they're very interested in
Yeah.
how do they find out more.
2 things I would tell
Okay.
them to do
All
about
right.
this, because there is a secret space force called
Right,
My Labs,
right.
right? In addition to the space force that Donald Trump is starting, that's a government, the Congress and Senate and the President of the United States know about. But there's a secret space force that Black Ops have been running for the last 80 years that probably no one knows about it. Donald Trump may know a little bit more than most. So that's another piece.
I absolutely agree, and that's why it's called the Secret Space Program, right?
Yeah.
Because there is so much that we don't, well, personally, I have learned a
But there-
lot over the last few years, but
Okay.
there isn't that much out there in the news. But as we have talked before,
But not
on-
in the news that we know,
Okay.
not ABC, CBS, NBC, not
yeah,
and
okay.
not Joe Rogan. They don't know about what I'm talking about.
Right,
But
right.
but if you can go to Dr. Greer, and he has that information on his websites. So Google him and watch that. He has
Thank you.
a lot of that information. That's
Okay,
all.
thank you very
That's-
much.
sure.
Okay, guys, I don't know how many of my viewers are interested in this. I know that you tune into my show to listen to very many different subjects, but it is fascinating, and it's amazing that you happen to show up today in the studio right before my show, Russ, because he does have his own show on this. There is so much I'm going to call behind the scenes that goes on. So let's open this up. I think that G-Man was going to ask me something. He was leaving, but he said he wanted to come on the show before he actually left, but I think maybe he's left. G-Man, are you around?
He's right here.
Oh, here. Okay, I know you had a few questions for me.
Hi, Sally.
Hi.
I was wondering, alien?
Okay, that's a big question, and the answer is I feel that you are. I mean, from the moment that we met, there were many things that I had tuned into you, including, and I often say this so that it seems more, that this is what happened to me. I gave you the name. I never forgot that because I've done this many times, but not actually personally. It's been that it would be someone that isn't here, but the name of your spirit guide that isn't even here in physicality. But there was a reason for that. So ask me some questions. I feel ready to answer something that you are going to ask me.
What does my guides have for me for this week?
Well, they're actually giving you pieces of the puzzle, if that makes any sense to you. You're getting information, which I know that you're able to process. And they're working overtime with you right now because your information is very needed. And I think they're actually giving you, which is obviously most people know what's going on in the news, some of what's happening. And I think you're I don't know if you yourself are very open to it, but they're telling me that be open to it because you're going to be guided into what is happening, your point of view. Not everybody is going to understand what is happening, but I feel that you're part of this big project that is happening because most of us have many, many different ideas. And, but if there was going to be a disclosure, and I think you're going to hear a little bit about this, and so are other people that are in tune, now is the time, and especially you, us too, because we are open. We're getting more open to the idea that we're not alone here. And in answer to your question, you're one of the many people today that is ready to hear this. I absolutely feel that, as everybody sitting here with me in the studio, because a lot of people are going to need help. They're not going to understand what's happening. This, with all these drones up in the sky, I don't know myself. But it's opening the idea that maybe there is something going on. We're not alone here. And my job, for as long as I have left in this world today, as I know it, is to help people understand what is going on. There will be disclosure. Whether this is going to be part of the disclosure, I don't know yet. But I'm here as you are, as actually everybody sitting in the studio here is. We're part of, I'm going to say the word team is coming up to help people because they're going to think what is happening. But where we are now on Earth are not sophisticated in this. There are many planets that are very much more advanced than what we are. This is what I feel and this is what I hear. So they understand what's going on. We just amongst ourselves going, what is this all about? But we need people to step forward. Why am I going into all this? You are one of the people that are meant to step forward. I'm getting absolute goosebumps as I'm saying that. Do you feel that?
Yes.
Because you are ready to step forward and talk about what you know. I felt that connection. There's a big age difference between ourselves, but our younger people today have this knowing. I could say knowledge, but it's a knowing within themselves. So yeah, I'm of the older generation, but I'm here to, before I go, to also help people with this and the understanding. So I feel that the aliens are contacting me. However, I think it's your phone. Okay.
Yeah, it is. I'm
Please,
sorry.
if you could, it's kind of putting me off balance here a little bit.
I'm sorry. I
And it's
apologize.
okay. Thank you.
But I have from NBC News. Would you like to hear it?
I would
1
love-
minute?
yes.
1 minute, okay. 1 second.
They definitely want me to hear it, I think.
It's top breaking news.
Okay, breaking news from Russ.
Israel's former space security chief, in an interview with an Israeli newspaper, he said the aliens have been waiting until today for humanity to develop and reach a stage where we will understand in general what space and spaceships are. NBC News chief global correspondent Bill Neely explains this one.
Well, okay, thank
Hi, Alison.
you.
Well, this is quite a story, and it comes from the man who headed Israel's space security program for nearly 30 years. Chaim Eshed is making the extraordinary claim that the United States and Israel have been in contact with a group of aliens for years, not immigrants, but extraterrestrials. He has called them the Galactic Federation of Aliens, and he says President Trump is aware of the existence of these aliens and had been on the verge of revealing their secrets, he claims, but was asked not to do so by the Federation in order to prevent what he calls mass hysteria. Well, the retired general says the US and Israel have kept it from the public because, quotes, humanity isn't ready and the aliens don't want to reveal themselves until humanity can evolve, he says, and understand
That's
what
amazing.
space really is.
Okay, that's
Thank you so much, Russ, because that's how I get a lot of my validation. The fact you're sitting there and it was breaking news. I actually have an article that Yuri Geller just wrote, I believe it was on LinkedIn, which I was going to read, but it's also on this subject. He lives in Israel,
Right.
and he's been over the years very much in contact with aliens. Today, for myself personally, I'm nowhere near, like from the beginning, I used to think, oh my gosh, what's going on? Today, I'm very accepted of it. I just definitely, for myself, feel, if you could just, that we're not alone here.
Well, that piece also, just to let the public know, was NBC News. I actually saw
Perfect,
it.
and we were just
I saw it on his
discussing it.
phone. It is from NBC News, which I'm
yeah.
a little
coming,
taken
which-
aback by it.
So it's
Which
but-
coming.
to me
It's coming.
is,
It's
it's
coming.
we should be, always on my show. We had a fire on my show. It's just the breaking news today. Okay, thank you. That was great. Thank you. I don't believe in coincidences,
You know,
so
that's
we
so
were meant to
I'll
use
share
the
that with you
breaking
because
news right
it's
now.
it's out there
Okay,
now.
do you have another question for me,
I
Avram?
was saying, if I'm an alien, which classification of alien do I fall under?
Okay, that's difficult. It's not difficult, but I believe, and I think that they're amongst us too, that I think you're part of the Palladians that come down here. It's just, I just feel that. They're here. They walk amongst us. There's probably about 1,000 of them. I don't know if you feel comfortable with that at all, but you know a lot. You have been visited. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But
So-
what's his message, Sally?
basically what we're actually discussing right now, because it's so important. There's going to be mass hysteria here, but let's take away this hysteria, because what they're trying to do, and if we'd only listen, like for people like the younger generation too, that are saying, okay, let's keep calm, we can change the world as it is right now. Definitely we can change it. We've got to believe it. We've got to come out with these things, especially as what you had just read. It's going on the main news right now. It's nothing to be scared of. If I don't pass this on, if there's nothing else that I can do right now, is don't be scared, because the ones that are trying to help us are showing themselves here. They walk amongst us. There's not that many. Most of the people that are walking amongst us know who they are to spread this on. We are not alone. It's not a bad thing. We need to know this. They're here to help humanity, absolutely. People tell me that they've had this horrible thing happen or that horrible thing. You'll bring to you what you believe, and I totally believe that. I am not scared of this. I've never been scared of it. I'm here to help people understand that they're here to help us. If there wasn't any other time right now in humanity, right now, for us to change, I believe that now is the time for us to change. Now is time for disclosure. Again, I can't tell you what's going on in the skies, but it does seem strange that if you think of all these things that are happening, we don't know what it is. You know, somebody's trying to get our attention, no matter what it is.
Well,
We
what do you
can't
think's
deny
going
that.
to change? All right, so we have full soft disclosure, whatever disclosure there is. We've got this breaking news that Israel and the U.S. are in
Right.
connection with the Galactic Federation. Then what?
Well, actually, that's part which I think if people go back into some of my shows way before this, I used to say that's who contacts me, is the Galactic Federation. And it's made up, just so people know, of a lot of entities, okay, are here to really keep the peace amongst all the planets, basically.
So you think it's a peacemaking federation or
Well,
technology?
they call themselves
Peace-
the Galactic, but everybody, there's a lot of planets. So they have, like, let's say, related to a government. It's not a government. It's not political, as far as I know. They're here to help us. They're here to keep the peace. But the main thing is they're not actually here to interfere. They can give us the messages. We have free will. We have free will on all the planets. But right now, that free will is, we have free will, but with free will, we basically need to have the understanding so that our free will be to help people. Our free will from other people, and there are people here that mess with that. They want us to think a different way. But the majority of people, there's a small group of people that have power. And that power is, hopefully, we're going to say, is going to diminish, and we can come out with the true light of what's actually happening. Because if we don't, And my show is always very, very positive. But just to let you know, we will be in trouble. So now is the time for people that understand a little bit or are just beginning to understand. Now is the time for us to wake up and listen to the people that we listening to that understand a little bit more. If I have nothing else to say on my program right now, is please listen. Listen to the news, it's coming out. Listen to me, listen to Russ. Dawn and Freddie, you're both aware of what's going on. It's important. Anybody out there that's had messages, come forward with these messages. You know, my show is all ad lib, basically. I have my messages. But my feeling right now is please come forward with anything. Even if it's on my show, it'll still travel. I'm getting quite a lot of viewers right now, and I'm getting a lot of shares. That's my contribution to what's going on. Please share this, share. Just know that there's something else going on.
What do you think's going to change, if anything?
For us to begin to wake
Everything?
Everything.
up. If we start to do
Everything.
this,
Religion, concepts of, I see, there are people, if Google this guy named William Tompkins. He's 94 years old when he just left, but he was working with the aliens from 1938, 39, 1940. And he helped design the spaceships that are now going from planet to planet with human beings on the spaceships, with tall whites and with the Palladians. So they're traveling from planet to planet, Mars, Jupiter, Andromeda. It's happening it's been happening for 30 years with the Secret Space Force, but they just didn't want you to know that. It's happening.
it's
It's
basically,
happening. It's real.
you'll agree with me, Russ, I know that.
Yeah.
We're uncovering information now that's been very
Yeah.
secretive. And if we don't start to do this, we're going to be in trouble.
Well, they're going to help us.
But
because-
hopefully they will, and hopefully a lot of people, which I do watch, and the only thing that I will present here is Gaia TV, the secret space
Sure.
program, and
Absolutely.
Gaia.
Absolutely.
Watch it, because
Yeah.
they have people coming forward that have been
Absolutely.
in the military, that have seen these spacecrafts.
Absolutely.
I myself, and as you, I'm not sure, I know you know a lot about it, I have been abducted many, many times. For 1 year, they were abducting me. And I thought myself, if I hadn't learned as much, and I had my friend Aldo who was helping me tremendously, I would have been really scared. But that fear would have actually stopped me from understanding, because fear is the word. I am not scared. I want to hear more and more of this today. So here we are. Okay, Freddie.
They want us to take a commercial break.
Okay, we'll take a commercial break. I'll see you on the other side of this commercial. Thank you. My story starts at 4 or 5 years old. My name is Sally Barnard, and I was born at the end of the Second World War, in the middle of an air raid siren going off. My parents were in a movie theater, and my mother went into labor. My father ran out of the movie theater, but there was no cabs to be available because everybody is running for cover. However, they found one, and the taxi driver was given the address to take my father and my mother to the hospital. As my mother was in labor, about a half an hour, I arrived at exactly midnight. I think I was fed messages at a very early age. My parents used to like to play cards, and they had a card game every Wednesday or Thursday night at home when I was a baby. And I actually said to them one day, "Why do you keep waking me up at night? The card game is waking me up, and I can't get back to sleep so quickly." And they looked at each other and they said, "We're not really waking her up." They were quite away from my bedroom. And they called in a psychic to say, "What in the world is going on?" And the psychic said that I'm getting many messages that are waking me up at night. I thought whatever I was experiencing, other people were experiencing too. You don't know until you realize that you are different. Many things were happening to me, things that were unexplainable to me. What I had dreamt was happening. I could sense many things, and the things that I was sensing were coming about, but something was going on. I will explain to you everything. You're ready.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Barnard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came into the U.S. in 1979. A mother of 2 and a grandmother of 4, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the 3rd dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest into art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed a paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she is able to astral a project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life and direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today, authorhouse.com and amazon.com.
Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Barnard, and you can find my book at authorhouse and amazon.com or visit my art on my clothing in my boutique at artbysallybarnard.com. Now back to the show. Hi, welcome back. I was just discussing my book with Dawn right now. I actually have it in the studio. I have them for sale. I'm actually doing before Christmas and running into the new year. The price of my book on Amazon, I believe, is $30. I'm going to sell it in the studio if you're interested for $20. So anybody that's interested in buying my book, contact myself and let me know, or anybody that's local, please come into the studio and stop by. We certainly had a lot of people here the other night, right? Over 150 people. My book will be for sale for $20. It has a lot of my artwork, some of the things that happened to me right in the very beginning, and how this all came about. So here we are, just advertising my book, wrong way around.
What I love when I read your book, page 25.
Yes, you just mentioned that. I was
Yeah, could you read that for
absolutely
the people?
20.
You're talking about peace and cooperation.
20, I can't believe you really impressed me with the actual page trust. I don't know my pages in my book. Okay, 25 is, we have another poem, prose. Okay, I think I actually had read this,
You might do it again.
but I'm going to do, what is going on? This is really appropriate.
No.
Thank you so much. What is going on within the mysteries of our soul? Are we here to understand? We are but mere mortals in this universe. Way beyond the stars, there is so many mysteries. We have not touched the surface. Must we judge? I think not. Look within. Our answers are all there. Take time to smell the flowers. Look to the sky and way beyond. We are missing so much in this world as we know it. Look within, look beyond. We have so much to learn. So go slow, my child. Forget the anger, forget the rage. Stop and learn. We must forgive. We must forgive ourselves. We are immortal. That which was is. I love that. And again, just to say, I had no idea at that time what I was writing. This was right in the beginning of what I call my journey. And so much now is coming about, so much. And I got that the same way as you know my story of how I was traveling and how I was going to different planets, which I feel openly now that I can talk about. I visited other planets in my so-called dream. It was astral projection. They took me to many. So
Do you remember any of the messages that they gave you?
Yes, I remember everything as if it was just happening right now. As you talk, I see the images, I see the planets that I went on. One particular one, as you mentioned that, was a guide. And I asked Aldo because he knew my dreams. Basically, he got into my dreams, so he knew what I was dreaming. But this guide told me he was a male. And he said to me, I've taken you as far as I can right now, because he was stepping back. But he said to me, my assistant, and I knew nothing that guys had assistants, just like here. He said to my assistant will take over because her life was very similar to yours. So she will guide you. He was stepping into the background, but this lady came forward and she had lived here in a lifetime and her life was very similar to what I was going through. So my take on that is that before we come in, we do pick our guides. So obviously this lady, I don't know who she is. She actually has not shown herself to me, but I hear her in physicality as Aldo did. But he told me the whole story, and I said, well, this man, he's given me a woman, he's kind of male chauvinist. He says, no, not at all. She can relate more to you. And he said, if you're angry with him, and I couldn't believe this, he said, tell him. I said, but how can I be angry with my guide? And that stuck in my mind, plus everything else. So I have a guide of a lady that's had a very similar life to mine right now.
She's with you. Is she a physical or she's
No.
a guide?
She's a guide on the
spiritual
other
guide.
side, a spiritual guide, as my main guide was, as Aldo obviously is today. He gives me messages all the time. But he is high. What it is, just so people understand, and I'm understanding more and more, we're on a very lower vibrational energy right now. So people and it's nothing wrong, and I'm not criticizing anything, because it's the way of us understanding more. But we start off on a lower vibration, forgetting everything that's happened. And we come in and we only see basically what's around us. I see you, I see what's going on. But, and you guys know this, in the studio here, I raise the vibrational energy very much so. So guess what happens? I mean, you, Russ, I'm sitting in the other room on a higher vibration, and I come into the studio and meet you guys. Having said that, and you can validate this, 2.5 years later, how many people have come in on that higher vibration? Because when you lift it slightly, all you have to do is believe. Just understand there's so much more. It opens up a window so that you can now see more than what you were, not just ourselves, other people, what we see where we're on a lower vibrational energy. Why am I bringing that up? I believe it's very important, because what I'm seeing and feeling, we need to attract these people. I can't attract a lower vibrational energy for these people. I'm not saying they don't walk in the studio, but they won't feel my energy. So we need to come together. And by saying that, and I talk a lot about being positive is so important, because again, negativity is important, but turn it into a positivity. That's how we learn. But if we're on a higher vibration, we're going to see more people that are on that higher vibration. It's really simple, but we're so taken by this low vibration with the news, with arguments, with all these things that are happening. It just leads other people to, get more involved in that.
Well, the poem you just read on page 25, I think 3 words would describe this as cooperation, consensus, and collaboration, right? Rather than conflict and confusion and criticism.
That's exactly right.
So that's what that poem that you read talks about. Yes, we have to stay positive. We have to stay open.
Exactly, Russ.
There's a phrase, a guy named, I can't think of his last name, but he says, the keep your mind open, but he says, the learner will inherit the world. The learned will live in a world that no longer exists. So that means we have to always be students. We have to always be learning and not assume that we know everything. We have to be ever growing, ever open, and expanding.
And one of the phrases that Aldo used to say to me, I used to say knowledge. He said, don't say knowledge, say knowing. Because that knowing, and today when I talk, I say it's a knowing, because knowledge carries out, obviously, I'm not saying all the time, but a lot of negativity, because we have the knowledge of what's going on, and unfortunately the knowledge of the news, or so whatever it is. But the knowing, which I'm understanding now of what he said, and I know he's listening to me because he has passed, is what we're feeling, the knowing, our gut. So that's very important too. And I think right now we all need to, even if we don't understand it, we need to be open to this. We really, really do, because we need to lift our vibrational energy. If you want to talk to the people that I'm talking to right now that are listening to me from beyond, let's say, they're on a high vibration. Now, some of them are really high. They have to come down to meet my vibrational energy. I can only go so far, but I have a lot to learn. But they will meet us. We will see or hear them. And a lot of the aliens have been around for many, many lifetimes. And they're trying. They're trying to give us positivity, actually. My beautiful confident voice.
Guides. You always have a guide with you. You got to talk to them. You got to ask for help. It's like the Bible says, Matthew 7:7, ask and it shall be given, seek and shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. And in Matthew 7:8 says, for everyone who asks, it will be given. For everyone who seeketh, he will find. For everyone who knocketh, it will be open. So you got to ask your guides to help you. When you need help, things get tough, ask your guides and they're going to direct your being to what you're supposed to be doing.
And I
that's
think,
real.
thank you for that. And I
Yeah,
think
sure.
it's so important right now, that message,
Yeah.
because we all do
Yeah.
have guides, and they're all trying to help us.
Well, that's what this show is all about. You bringing the positive things that are coming to the world, and you call it disclosure, whatever you want to call it, but you bringing another way of thinking for us so we can raise our vibratory
Exactly,
level.
Russ,
So-
because
So we won't stay at the Jerry
on
Springer.
that lower,
the
and,
Jerry
you know, my
Springer
show is not always about aliens, but,
Yeah, but, yeah.
bringing that into what we're discussing
Absolutely.
now is so very, very important.
Key, critical.
Absolutely, and
Critical,
you know, it's nice to have the validation because it begins to make sense. I mean, for me, when I was writing down these planets that I was seeing, I didn't understand it. I just knew what was happening. But the more and more that I talk on my show too, I mean, this was many years back, I'm saying, how would I remember everything that happened? I remember it as if it was happening now. I see everything. And I realized that at the time, even though I was documenting it, I was ready and open. Luckily, I had someone to help me. He wasn't there by coincidence, which is
Understand.
Aldo. He was there the day that happened to me, that night. But the more and more, even after he's gone, because he said to me there was so much more that would make sense to me while he was in physicality here. And it does. And am I the only one? Of course not. There are many people out there. Call in with questions. If I can help, I will. So it's to open people's mind to lift that vibrational energy. And you can't do it. You really can't if you stay negative. It's just not going to happen because negative goes on. But however, negative, there's a balance. Out of negativity can come positivity. So keep that balance. Keep that balance.
The other
Thank
piece
you.
I'd like to
Yeah.
say, the book, but you know, when reading the book, I've read it several times, but the mantra I think you should say is always be positive, no matter what you
Absolutely,
see.
yeah.
Always be
I
positive.
say that all
always
the
be
time.
positive and stay positive.
Absolutely, Ross. I say
And the
that
book-
a lot on my
people
show.
should get the
I-
book and read it a couple
Right.
times.
Well, yeah.
because it talks
There's
about
many
that.
things in the book.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
and I didn't really even understand at that time because I'm going. I mean, my new book will have more out of what's happening to me. Which go on my Facebook. Call me Zena. There's a big article there, and hopefully a movie that's going to be coming out, which I put on Facebook 2 days ago. So that's definitely in the works now.
When
So-
people travel, because different people travel, not everyone travels to planets, and people travel to, I guess, past lives and other
Right.
places. Is there a meaning or a message that they should be receiving from this gift?
Yes, because I think that's why it's happening to them, and why it happened to me, because it opens your mind up. It can still happen to you, but if you've got a closed mind, you're not going to tell somebody about the story, how you visited other planets or how you were in another lifetime. So if it happens, and it happens, I believe, I'm not special, it happens to all of us, take notice of that because something is trying to wake yourself up. If you find that you're traveling back in time, which people do, or even into the future, why are we receiving that? It's from us. We're getting messages, but basically it's happening to us. It's happening to us for a reason. So many people don't remember their dreams, but they come to us in dreams. Sit up. I don't care what time it is. And if it's something important, document it, which I did. And I mean, I had to be work at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sitting up at 4 writing down what I was dreaming. I said, well, I don't really want to do this, but I'm very happy that I did, although I do remember everything.
And the things that you remember, are they things that are now being disclosed that you're
Yes.
seeing?
Yes, absolutely.
So you kind of may know what's coming next.
I do.
I'm not going to ask you.
No,
but
I have my own, let's say, theory on this because, you know, I feel I can predict. I've had things that I have predicted and I have told other people and they've happened. I don't always know the timing of when it's going to happen. I'll get a prediction and it could be 4 years from now. They don't give me, guys, give me the timing when it's going to happen because I predicted something quite a long time ago and it was very near where my school was in England and something happened and I told several people, but we didn't actually see it until 4 years later. But I still remember every aspect of that. So if I'm getting messages, please let me know when it's going to happen.
Interesting. So
That's for my guides.
what do my guides have to say today?
Well, they're working overtime.
I predict.
You actually, when we talked about the beautiful party that you guys gave, and you said to me, I think the aliens were helping me. Yeah, they were. They were.
I mean, honestly, I think these walls must have expanded a little bit on Friday night because look around. How did we fit 200 people in this place?
Yeah, that was nice. That was nice.
Thank
and
you.
not only
Very
that,
it was very impressive. Yeah, you guys pulled that off.
everything is
So
so
you telling
light.
people about your foundation?
All night.
Oh, you're telling people on this show about your foundation.
Russell, there's no way in the world I ever thought. I even told Dawn, if you get somebody to show up, even 50 people was a lot. And we were looking at 50
okay.
people. So I was in the twilight zone
Right.
when I saw all the people that came out and all the love that poured out and everything
Well,
else.
you're
So,
doing a good job. You're helping a lot of people.
you know, I'm just watching
People are
what,
givers.
you know, I'm listening to what you guys are talking about. And sometimes the learned gift is to come out and say, you know, you have choice.
Mm-hmm.
You have choice to believe something. And I told you this before. You told me if you do this, this is what's going to happen. I'm all in. You know, I
Okay.
was one of the few guys that said, I don't see it.
Oh,
Well, I'm
but
sorry
we
you
can't
didn't.
see everything. But there are people around you who can see what you're doing.
Right.
Freddie,
You got a phenomenal
I'm
foundation
sorry you didn't
and
believe
presence
me.
here.
Because you said you thought only 50, and I said to you, I didn't get them out. I said over 100.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't
Yeah,
believe
almost
it.
200.
But
I
there
mean,
was almost 200. And the funny thing is that it would have been over 200, but we didn't have the parking.
But think, how could this
capabilities.
studio hold 200 if we hadn't had some sort of levity or extra help that we fit
Well,
everybody
even
in
my
here?
Uber driver, he said to me he wanted to come in. I mean, I never really, I'm having to use Uber at night because I don't see that well in the
But we
dark.
were holding meetings everywhere because it was so crowded that I was talking to Russell in Studio A. I talked to somebody in the kitchen. I talked to somebody in the bathroom. I mean, it's all over the place.
Yeah, right.
So
was
let's
so
get
many
back
people.
to the aliens. They were
So
helping
what do
us.
you think?
They
So
were
what-
helping you.
And
What's
you ought to
next,
do
Sally?
seminars in the
Well,
community
okay.
on
What's
aliens
next?
and
That's,
UFOs.
Let me
that's
just-
being discussed as we speak.
Oh, I see.
What's
And
next?
a lot of people
What-
will come out.
Russ,
And that's a fundraiser. People
Okay.
and I'm serious.
okay,
You
let me
got
just
good-
finish my show and we'll carry
Oh,
on
I'm
the
sorry, I'm
conversation.
sorry.
We're still on the air. Okay, I only have a little bit, but Dawn had just asked me a question.
What are they
Okay,
telling you? What's next? How do we continue?
okay.
To
just
grow the
listen.
studio presence.
Again, I have written prose, and I know that you've read it because you just proved it to me by knowing the page.
Sure.
Is that many things, keep an open mind here. They're trying to tell us. So if you see or hear something, basically, take it in, call somebody, write into my show here, I can answer. Because what's next is disclosure, absolutely. And I know 100% you agree with me, Russ. And that disclosure it's important because after all, if there are people that are, let's just take it logically. If there are people here wanting to help us, wouldn't we want to listen? Well, because we don't necessarily see them, they want to help us. And if you listen, you will hear because we keep an open mind. It's telepathic, which they use, they talk telepathically to each other. That's how I hear things. I can hear what they're saying to me, but I can't basically hear them with this. I hear them within my head here. So I'm not the only one that's able to do this. Many people are. So disclosure is coming near.
So can you imagine if a lot of our crew, those that have autism or a different spectrum, if they're actually connecting to the higher frequencies
They are.
and they're here saying, you know what, you're on the right path. We're going to help you a little bit more.
My niece who's listening, hi, Nicholas, who is autistic. And we were having this conversation. Vicky, if you're listening, hello. And Margaret, if you're listening, hello. He has autism, but he's brilliant in so many ways. He can't always voice it or think. We were having this same discussion.
I think they're on a higher frequency, but
Yes.
yet the humans
They
put them on a
haven't-
lower frequency, but yet the way their brain operates, it's at a higher level of cognitive functioning. It's just not
Absolutely.
what a lot of humans believe in cognitive functioning.
But that's all really what we're talking about.
So I'm thinking
because what
maybe
we're-
this is really
it's
the part
same
disclosure.
thing. And I noticed that because Nicholas, you're wonderful, and everything that you do is amazing. but he thinks differently. But does that mean to say that that's wrong because he thinks differently? It's not adapting to completely to the majority of us that think.
Maybe that's higher level thinking,
But
right?
yes, because a lot of them, in fact, the first words I ever said to Nicholas, and Vicky will validate this, we were actually at a bat mitzvah. Oh, yeah, it was a bat mitzvah, and he came to sit next to me, and I had, because they live in Michigan. And I said, I know you know that I know. I don't know why I said that, but I had to say that to him. And that he loves me today, and this was like about 14 years ago. And I have a bond with him because I could feel, only because I could feel that, and so does Vicky, his mother. And they appreciate me beyond belief. And I love you guys, not to get off the subject, but I think that he knows a lot, but maybe he doesn't express it the same way that we do. They can use a computer.
Yeah.
Technology-wise, they are brilliant, many of them. Why?
You know, I got to tell you, 40 years ago, I was coaching, and it's really strange. I don't even know where this came from. I was coaching in the Bronx, a baseball team that was put together by 18 individuals that were all under the 15 year of age. My son was on the team. And the kids that came along were friends of friends. Kids that never were given a chance. They played in the South Bronx. They played everywhere. Nobody ever heard of these kids, ever. Nobody would come out to see us and nothing. And we made it all the way to a championship league in Connecticut. And the speech that I gave them was, you know, you're different, and you play the game differently. So you do what you need to do, and I will follow you, not the other way around. And we won that championship game. We only lost 2 games that year. We won over 30. And sometimes I listen to what you guys say, and it reflects back on my life. Some of the times that I used to tell kids, you don't have to be normal.
Right.
You just have to be yourself. Normal is something that somebody else sees.
Exactly, because if we say what is normal,
What
normal
is
normal to what I believe, but it doesn't mean to say that someone else has a different point of view. It's still normal to them.
That's right.
So that's really, really important.
And
Yeah.
Friday night, the parents of the kids that were in here, some of the parents that I spoke to, were just telling me whatever it is that we're doing, we're not doing it, they're doing it, is amazing. And this building holds so many of the secrets that they do. I don't even want to tell you some of the conversations. I started to tell Dawn some of them. They're real tearjerkers about how kids, you got to look at them for who they are, not what you think they should be.
Absolutely. I feel very strongly because part of my family is Nicholas. And I mean, he's the most wonderful person. He's 25 now, I believe, 25. Because he doesn't seem to be that age, he knows a lot from autism.
Now, I hate to have to admit this, but she did say that the studio was going to do something fantastic before the year was out. And I found the show when she said it. Now I'm going to ask her what's next year holds for the studio.
Why do you hate to admit it?
Well, the next year, the sky's
Okay,
the
let me
limit.
think
Because
about
I'm
it.
always the one that
The sky's the
says
limit.
I
I'm
don't believe that. You know, I'm the kind of person that if I see a couch, I got to sit on it before I say that's a couch.
Okay, so give me the question again. It's like, it just
What
sometimes-
is it that you see for the future of the studio coming the new
Okay.
year?
My message is no different to what I've been telling you guys. But the biggest thing is that, again, you're seeing it happening. Continue seeing that, Freddie. This studio, and I'll say this out loud, is magical. Look at it. Yes, you need to get out more, which you're doing. So many things. And for myself too, because I feel it. I feel part of the studio after 2.5 years. Everything ahead of you, everything that you want, truly want, is going to happen. But you know, again, it's up to you.
You
It's
gotta work
still
for it.
up to you to see that happening. You'll see things happening. Don't question it, Freddie. Just remember what I'm saying. Put this part of the show on to yourself and listen again, because it's all there. We basically can, any of us can manifest if we believe that we can manifest. If we believe we can't and we judge ourselves, you know what's going to happen? It won't happen. But everything that you have planned, the two of you here together, is there for you to take it in, to know the people will show up here. The people are going to, I'm sorry, Russ, just one second.
No, that's sure.
The people are going to show up. Don't ignore some of the messages that people are giving you here, or don't ignore, absolutely. I'm not saying you ignore, but don't kind of say to yourself, I don't know about that. Take the time to really listen to the ones that you feel are coming in, because they are going to come in. They definitely are, and it's going to happen in the new year, okay? This party, the fundraiser that you had a lot to help you towards that, because it wasn't just the people here. It was for their, like my show with the shares that I get. That's kind of really important because they're liking my message, so they're sharing it with other people. That's the same thing as what you did here the other night, plus all your shows that you do all the time. They have people, so you're going to gain more and more people. But amongst those people that are sharing, there's some couples and people there that see and understand what you're doing, really understand. You will meet them. So keep an open mind, whoever walks. In other words, my message, to make this short, whoever walks into this studio or calls you and has someone that's told to call you up, take the time, which I know you do, but think positive with every single person you meet. There again, you will get negativity, so you put it aside. But at least you've had the opportunity to converse with these people. And amongst that is going to be something, I absolutely hearing it, outstanding. Outstanding. Let's play this time next year and see what happens, because they're telling me to tell you that. This next year, but keep that positivity, which is so important for you guys. You're on the right track. You're on the right track for helping, because giving is very important, very important. So continue giving to your causes that you truly believe in, and everything is going to be amazing. Believe it. Please believe it. That's my prediction.
You're going to believe it finally?
Well, I feel that you, Freddie, I feel that you
It's a
are-
book you should get. It's called As a
can't-
Man Thinketh. And basically it says in one sentence, whatsoever the mind can believe and achieve, you can achieve.
And that's beautiful. And let's say,
Yeah.
I think we only have right a minute.
you have
Let's
2
end the
minutes, they
show
said.
with that.
Yeah.
Okay. One more, say it once more.
Whatsoever the mind can conceive and believe, you can achieve.
I love that. So on that
It's all
note,
in your mind.
absolutely.
And you can bring it forth to you.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for being on my show,
Yeah,
Russ.
sure,
And
no
as
problem.
usual, obviously, thank you, Dawn and Freddie. You make my show. You make it possible for me to have the show that I have here. You both do. I want to thank you very much for that. It means
you.
the world to me. Thank you. See you this time next week. Bye-bye.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Barnard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you can always seek me out for resources by visiting artbysallybarnard.com. Join us next week, Mondays at